Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a Stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief shenanigator, geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you that normally my co-host would be here with me, at least one of them, but this was a last minute fill-in because I found out she didn't have long left in her Kickstarter. And so, Kickstarters are time sensitive, so we just jumped right in, and you'll have to deal with just me today, dear listener. But with that said, I'm going to let our guest, Miss Katherine Villyard, introduce herself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Hi, I'm Katherine Villyard. I am super nerdy, so hi. I have a day job in IT, and I have been writing for, oh my goodness, probably a decade or so. So yeah, and right now I'm writing vampires, because who doesn't love vampires?
The werewolves, they don't like vampires.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So are you team vampire over werewolves?
I don't really have. I mean, werewolves are fine. I don't have anything against werewolves.
Okay, do you buy into the fact that they have to have this immortal blood feud like Hatfields and McCoys, or can they be friends?
They can be friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really big into the feud. Didn't that start with Underworld and then got popular with Twilight?
I'm not even sure where that started and why you would have that start, because
yeah,
I get it if you have like cat shifters and dog shifters, why you would want to have like some feud. That would make sense to me in some sort of lore. But like wolves and vampires, I don't get.
I mean, Dracula turns into a wolf, so surely he has no problem with wolves.
I thought he turned into a bat.
He turns into a bat too. He can turn into a bat, a mist, wolf. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what version of Dracula does he turn into a wolf? I have not seen that one or read that one.
Yeah, I think that's the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So I'm taking it you dove into the classics of vampires when you prepped for this.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I've liked Dracula for a long time. I mean, my intro to vampires was actually Anne Rice, like around high schoolish. But yeah, I mean, I dove into a whole bunch of these. I did the Dracula, did a whole bunch of movies, did like research on vampire myths and stuff. And so yeah, I did. Yeah.
My experience with that is I read David Eddings' The Belgariad, and he had the grandfather. He wasn't a werewolf. He just was a shapeshifter that turned into a wolf, and I've been in love with it ever since.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I just think it's kind of cool. Then of course you see a lot of the fantasy stuff has those giant dogs, wolves, whatever, that are mounts. But of course you dive into that, and that's the was it the Caucasoid Caucasus wolf dog? Or it's a dog out of the Caucasoid Mountains.
Okay.
And it's huge. It was used to hunt bears. It was so big.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like the original werewolf stuff actually comes from like Germany and areas around in that area, while the vampires were more Eastern European. So yeah, they didn't really mix much until relatively recently.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to dive deeper into that just because I'm curious. We might end up making an episode about it. If we do a panel on the vampire versus werewolves, I will throw your name in there as one of our guests since it came up.
Okay.
Now I'm curious. We do panel topics too, where we just get nerdy and bloviate about various things. But before we get nerdy again, we do have to ask you the religion question. So are you ready for this, Katherine?
I guess so. Here we go.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
That one's really hard for me, but I'm going to go ahead and say Star Wars because my sister and I saw it in the theater 10 times in 1977. And we would just come out of the theater and we'd say, my mom would be waiting in the parking lot and we'd be like, we want to see it again. So yeah, Star Wars.
Okay. And then because we're polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, Game of Thrones, Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia?
Oh boy. Lord of the Rings.
That's okay.
All right.
Yeah. That was the original question. We just took it off the original list because everyone said it, so we just thought it was fair to give people a chance. What is it about Lord of the Rings that speaks to you?
Oh my goodness. I just sort of like the whole the hero's journey thing. I like the I think the movies were beautifully done. So but yeah, that's the main thing. It's just like I like that it's like the hero's journey. It's kind of, we could I actually accidentally spoiled someone when the Harry Potter books were coming out, because I was like, oh no, I know which character is going to die in book 5, because if you look at like the plot of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and so on and so forth, and then this, this is clearly the point in the saga where one of the mentor figures dies. So, and yeah, no. Oops. I was right. And she was mad when the book came out, and I was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And one of the crying shames of adulthood is we stop asking each other the important questions. And thanks to the generosity of our patrons, we are bringing that back. And I'm going to ask you, madam, what is your favorite dinosaur and why?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say Triceratops, because that's what I always said when I was a little kid. I just thought that like the 3 horns were cool.
Okay. Triceratops is a good one. All right, so I just did a quick Grok search. So assuming that Elon Musk and Grok is not lying to me, it looks like the first recorded instance of the vampire v werewolf trope was 1991 with the White Wolf RPG.
Wow, okay. Good to know.
So it
Very
was before
cool.
Underworld, which came out in 2003.
Okay, cool.
Of course, they could be wrong because I test the AI just because it's not really an AI. I test the large language model search engine, which is really what I use it for, because I'm curious. So I'll be reading a book and I ask it what happens next, because spoilers never bother me. And then I look to see, and so often it's wrong. And I'm like, okay, so now I know not to trust it. And that's the reason I do it, is because it's something that I'll know in a second if they're right or wrong. So you'll ask it a question you know the answer to, which teaches you not to trust it. But for what it's worth, it looks like the first it could find was the White Wolf RPG.
Okay.
And if you know, dear listener, of an earlier instance of the werewolf versus vampire animosity, please tell us, because we'd love to know.
Yes.
And do that in the comments, because
absolutely,
it could be interesting discussion points. All right. And so one of the things you don't know about us, dear listener, except we tell you every week, is that we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle-dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
Oh, boy. Tea, I think. And I like green tea. When my sister and I were out somewhere recently, I she got me hooked on matcha lattes, and I'm like, wow, I really don't need another addiction. But yes, green tea.
Okay. I could never get into the green tea thing. The one thing I really, really hated was the lawsuit that closed Tijuana. Are you familiar with them?
I am familiar with them. I used to shop there, actually. So yeah, I did not.
What got them in trouble legally was they would give you samples and you'd be like, this is what it tastes like. Isn't it great? And you'd be like, yeah, it's great. Let me buy a bag. And what you found out, which is why they got sued, was that you had to like quadruple sometimes the amount of leaves to water to get that flavor intensity, which means it didn't last as long as they told you it would.
Okay.
So it was the fraud and the inducement, which is what got them in trouble. Not the actual, because it tasted like that. You just couldn't get it with the amount of leaves they told you it would. Yeah. But they had a tea flavor, and I don't remember the name, and I didn't write it down, but it really did taste like you were drinking big red gum, like the old chewing gum. It was the cinnamony kind of flavor.
Yeah.
It was like Wrigley's Big Red Gum. It was so delicious. And then you add German rock salt to it.
Oh, wow.
And German rock salt is great for hot beverages because it dissolves. Mm-hmm. You don't get clumps at the bottom. I will tell you, German rock salt is not the best to go through an airport with. Just they will think it is other substances.
Oh, dear, yes.
Mail it, leave it in your checked bags. Do not carry it with you. I'm telling you, it ends badly.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know.
I have my theories, but that's okay. We will just leave them in my imagination.
My Oma was big on the German rock sugar.
Oh yeah,
and it was good, but it's really good with tea because like I said, it melts so smoothly, and it's got that brown sugar taste without all the extra stuff in it nutritionally. So it's slightly better for you. I mean, not that sugar's great for you, but it's slightly better, so you can lie to yourself and tell you it's not so bad. But those two together, if I could ever find like something that mirrored that flavor pattern, I'd be in heaven.
Okay.
But okay. So obviously you don't start out one day and wake up and be like, you know what? I'm just going to write a novel. Like most people that write books started off reading them. So how did you discover the love of all things speculative fiction? Where did that journey start for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, probably, probably, yeah. Oh, I'm going to say it was the Ogden Public Library when my father, who was APHIS, not military, was stationed at Hill Air Force Base. I read pretty much the entire young adult section there. So like that was Ursula Le Guin, Left Hand of Darkness, and just was like, yeah, I particularly loved her, but like I just went through like basically the whole section. So yeah, my public library.
Public libraries are good.
Oh yeah.
They I don't know if it's true or if it's just a rumor that's going around. Supposedly when Tom Clancy was writing, people like the government thought people were leaking things to him. So he went, and so the government approached him and he's like, I got a library card. That's how I know things.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you can learn a lot in the library. I'm just, and obviously you're biased just like I am, because I think you said in the pre-show that was what you went to school for, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have a degree in art and I have a degree in library science. So yeah. Yeah.
And then you ended up not working in library science.
No.
Did that surprise you?
A little bit. While I was in library school, I worked in the academic computing lab. And when I graduated, they were like, there's a job opening and you would be good for it. And I'm like, okay. So I haven't really used my library degree very much. I've used it twice now. So
now you use it to research for your books.
Now I use it to research for my books. But yeah, to get jobs, I've only used it twice. Most of my other jobs have been IT.
That's the dangerous part when you like research and then you get writing books, is because if I'm not careful, I could go down a rabbit hole, and 20 years later, you'll find me with ink stains on my clothes and my fingers. And I'll be happy as insert your favorite metaphor that isn't vulgar.
Yes.
And the books won't have been written, but I'll have had fun.
Absolutely. I have made the joke to people that oh, so he sat at his desk in 19th century London, and then next thing you know, it's like, okay, what kind of wood would they be using in 19th century London? So yeah, no, I have to like limit myself with, at certain points of drafting, like put it up, look this up later and keep going.
Yeah, I will do open bracket, research topic, insert whatever the topic is.
Yes.
Close bracket to come back to. Because if I let myself, I know I will lose years.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Happily, many hours later. Oh my gosh.
So was it fantasy that was first for you, or sci-fi? I know if you go far enough back, they didn't really differentiate. It was all speculative fiction.
Yeah, they didn't really differentiate. So it was probably sci-fi first. It was sci-fi first. I'm thinking, Left Hand of Darkness, The Dispossessed, and like a whole bunch of other things that were Ursula K. Le Guin. She was, yeah. But then there was Earthsea, which was fantasy. So yeah, I love the Earthsea books as well. So there was that. And also there was Star Wars. And I was also very big into Star Trek when I was a tween. That was prime time on Armed Forces Network in Germany. So I was like, yes, it's Star Trek time, original Star Trek. So yeah, cool.
So if you didn't know, because she used an acronym, AFES is Army Air Force Exchange Service.
Yes, Army Air Force Exchange Services. My dad used to run like the base exchange and like movie theaters and snack bars, but mostly like the base exchange. So
it's sort of like, if you're in Navy terms, that'd be the PX, I guess.
Exactly. Yes.
And the Air Force and the Army share one, because at one point in time, the Air Force was part of the Army Air Corps. So
yeah.
Okay, so you started because your dad's job had you, not stable enough that you libraries became your companions, which I get. Like, I'm a Navy brat too, so I get it. When did that transition to you deciding you wanted to tell your own stories?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was already trying as like when I was 14 or so to write short stories. They were very bad. They do not exist anywhere. That's probably good. And, I showed them to my mother and she was like, can't you write nice stories about teenagers who fall in love? And I was like, oh, mom, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I started writing those and they were bad. And then later on in college, I was, occasionally would try to write something. And I just write the occasional short story as a hobby. And then I got laid off in the .bomb crash and I started writing a little more seriously and trying to sell things. That didn't work out so well as a money-making thing, but I am in SIFWA from that. So yeah. And I wrote mostly short stories for a very long time because, IT day jobs, I didn't really have a lot of spare time. And eventually I just fell down a rabbit hole with this book and it ended up being long. So
how long did you write this book? Like, was this one of those ones that the first book took you years to write?
Yes, very much so. It took me years to write this one. I'm going faster on the second one, but still not as fast as I was hoping I would do. I'm only 50,000 words into the second one. But it took me a really long time because, I was used to short stories and I had to figure out how to write a novel, which everybody who writes a novel has to figure that out the first time, maybe every time. We'll see.
It gets easier.
It does. The second one is not as bad, but yeah.
So when you write, because some people that write short stories, because it's short, there's not as much of a issue with continuity.
Okay.
So there are a lot of even people that outline religiously will swag it when will pants it when it comes to short content. Is that something you were doing, like that you had to change your process at all when you moved from short to long content?
Not really. I mean, for a long time, I tried really hard to be a plotter and outline, and I would get up to the end of the story and I'd be like, I no longer believe that these characters would do this thing. I have to completely change the ending. And so, yeah, I have a short fiction collection. And they're like, her shocking twist endings. And I'm like, really? Okay. It's more that I tried to be a plotter and failed. But so I pant this book as well. But also I did take story structure into account. So whenever I would get in, where I feel like I was lost, I would be like, okay, structurally, what should be happening here? Okay, that's where we're going. So yeah,
that's the thing is some people that get story structure because they've studied it explicitly, they've read the books, the theories, etc. And you'll get other people that just read so much they know it, but they don't necessarily know how they know it. So they do it intuitively if they don't think about it too hard, which is where I come in, because we never, I was in generically English degree, but I never studied creative writing. So the story structure was not something we focused on. But I've just read so many books that I can pace it without thinking about it too hard. But then people are like, oh, you've got this plot point. I'm like, okay, if you say so. Like, sure, I meant to do that.
Sure.
So what has surprised you when you moved from writing short content to writing long form fiction?
Oh, just having so much more space. When you're doing short fiction, you don't have a subplot. You don't have any detours. You don't have room for that. You just get your main plot line in there and you go. And I had so much more room. And I was like, so I did my very first draft was 65,000 words. And I'm like, I can go in and I can add this and I can add that. And that was really interesting to me. So yeah.
Wait, so your editing process has made your book longer?
My editing process made my book longer.
I thought I was the only one. I write a book, I can guarantee you I'm adding at least 10,000 words when I edit it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me too. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm not alone. We've got friends. There we go. Okay. So you started writing the short content. What made you, was short content just because that's what you had time for, or had you always enjoyed reading short fiction?
I do like reading short fiction, but also, short fiction was what I had time for. I did have some friends who were also writing short fiction at the time, and my friends were like, "Oh, well, the way you do it is you sell your short fiction, and once you've made a name for yourself in short fiction, then agents are more likely to pick up your novel." And I was just reading more short fiction because I didn't have a lot of time, and I was writing more short fiction because I didn't have a lot of time. So yeah.
I mean, that advice worked in the 1970s and 80s, not so much anymore, but sure,
Yeah.
we'll go with that. A lot of the short fiction markets died when the internet came.
Yeah.
Nobody really reads magazines anymore.
Yeah. Well, I did sell stuff to Escape Pod, so that was pretty cool. I think Escape Pod is awesome. So, and they are actually like a pretty modern, contemporary style fiction magazine, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones who turn everything into audiobooks on a let's say Podio cast when those were big.
Yeah.
They used to still do those, but I don't think they're as big anymore.
Okay.
Which is sad because I used to listen to those when I'd go for my walks.
Yeah.
You know, they were great to listen to while you'd walk the dog because you didn't have to commit to too much when it comes to like time as far as to get to the ending of the story. So, okay. All right. Well, so normally we would talk more about your origin story, but we might have to have you back to talk about that kind of stuff because unfortunately, when you're doing a Kickstarter, it's almost a 3-part interview. It's getting to know you as the author, but then it's getting to know the book because then we got to understand from there of the book so we can understand what you're doing with the Kickstarter. So we're going to pause for a moment. I'm going to play, because you're graciously sponsoring this episode, I'm going to play the video that you attached to the Kickstarter, and then we're going to talk about the book in question so then we can talk about what you're doing with the Kickstarter. So we're going to air that video real quick.
Hi, I'm Katherine Villyard, and I've loved vampires ever since I read Anne Rice at an impressionable age. So of course I had to write a vampire book of my own, with the vampire protagonists, and the historical backstories, and the queer characters. A short pitch for my books is, what if a 19th century Jewish violinist wanted to attend the Berlin Academy, an institution that didn't allow Jews? And what if his patron was a vampire? But also, with Project 2025 and the rise of anti-Semitism, I really wanted a book that was explicitly against homophobia and anti-Semitism. I wanted a bi character without all the yucky stereotypes. I wanted her to have 2 moms to honor the experience of my friends in same-sex relationships who had children. And of course, I had to have a hand-drawn map and pretty chapter headings. Like, I took a graduate level art class in bookbinding a million years ago that assumed I would be using a printing press rather than a computer. But I think it paid off. I think it really helped. Hey guys, art degrees aren't useless. This book won the Literary Titan Gold Award and has a lot of great reviews from both general readers and from people like Kirkus and Indie Reader. If that's your sort of thing, I have links to that. So if you would like a beautiful limited edition hardcover book and a multi-narrator audiobook of a story about love, acceptance, and found family, this could be the book for you.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that video that explained a little bit about what Katherine was doing. So with that out of the way, we're going to talk about the book that got us here. So then we can talk about the Kickstarter from the video. So obviously the Immortal Gifts is the vampire novel in question. I'm going to throw that cover up while we talk about that part of it. So what can you tell us? First off, obviously you mentioned in the video that it's got alternative lifestyle stuff in it. So obviously if that's not for you, dear listener, no harm, no foul, but you've been warned, so you can't say that you haven't. And for those that have been reading some of the authors, this is not a Jimmy Dean sausage. So You won't get that in the reviews either. Have you seen those reviews going around?
Yes.
It almost has to be someone trolling, because I've seen 3 different authors get that. I
Wow.
refuse to believe someone is like, that many Jimmy Dean sausages are not being shipped. Jimmy Dean is better than that, dang it. Okay, so with that said, obviously alternative lifestyle doesn't mean necessarily inappropriate content. So for the families that are listening saying the content inside those covers, is it appropriate for my family? How would you rate this book if you're using the movie theater sort of rating scale? Because everyone's familiar with that.
Oh boy. I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably PG-13.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's occasional innuendo that the male-female married couple engage in marital activities, but none of those.
Yes, we got that.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fade to black. Door is shut.
Okay. So the innuendos, is it something that is in your face, or for those that are blissfully innocent can read it and just skim right over it and not catch what they're reading?
There's stuff like all the better to TMI you in.
Okay.
Level.
Yeah, that's fair. Snarky. I dig the snark.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as, so that's the mature content side rating. What about for like, because it's vampires, and obviously with vampires, oftentimes there's blood and gore and violence. So on that side of the house, how would you rate this book?
Oh boy, probably PG-13 again.
Okay.
There's occasional non-lethal vampire biting, and there are 2 really big fight scenes. One of them involves a rifle, and the other one involves 2 vampires duking it out. But I mean, beyond that, there's not a lot of violence. There's reference to terrible things have happened off screen, however. So yeah.
All right. On a scale of 0 to John Wayne is very happy, how bad was this duking it out?
Oh boy. Well, I would say it's probably 5 or 6 pages of duking it out.
So John Wayne was very happy. Okay. All right. You get any cool one-liners in there?
Oh boy.
You don't want to spoil it. We don't want
to
spoilers.
spoil it. Yeah. During the first big fight scene that includes a rifle, there's like, I was no longer human. I was a thing of teeth and speed. Okay. I like that one. That's pretty good. There's other things that are funny, and I'm having trouble coming up with them right now under pressure.
Hey, it happens. And I actually, this has been what, season 1, or maybe even before we switched over from Blasters and Blades to the previous podcast. I was interviewed by someone else to go on my own podcast for one of my book launches. And I can tell you, it's a lot harder to be on the other side of the microphone. So I totally get it. Your mind goes blank, and you're like, oh, he went that way, George. He went that way. I totally understand. Okay. And we're not scripting these, so it's not like you have the questions in advance. So,
no.
You said it's got, when you talk about the period stuff in this book, is it set in the past?
It is.
It is. So
yeah.
What is the setting?
Okay, there are 2 timelines, and one of them is like 2018 through 2022 or so, with one scene in 2025. And the other, there are scenes set in the 18th, 19th, and 20th century. So there's like some stuff in 18th century Rosenheim, Bavaria. There's 19th and 20th century stuff in Berlin, and there's a little bit of 19th century London and some 20th century New York.
Is it all told from one person's point of view?
I have 3 POV characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about those characters?
Sure. So the main one is Abraham. He wanted to attend the Berlin Academy, and they did not allow Jews, which was a historical thing I learned about in one of my choirs. And he lied. He said he was a convert. And his patron, who turned out to be a vampire, when he became sick with consumption, his patron didn't ask. He didn't want the world to lose his gift. So he chomp. So there's that. So Abraham is like trying to figure out the best way to be both Jewish and a vampire, and if you're in the know, that like that's kind of a rough place to be. So
there's another author we interviewed, and I'm drawing a blank on whose name is, but there's another one who wrote about a kosher, devout Jewish guy that becomes a vampire.
Is that by any chance David Carricos, The Blood is the Life?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. It's just like what would happen if someone who's potentially vegan and then becomes a vampire. Like it's the butt of internet memes, but it's the kind of thing you think about, right? Like
yeah. And that's one of the other point of view characters is his modern day wife, and she does not want to be a vampire because she's a vegetarian. So so she's like, no, thank you. But also, she just kind of feels like it's the natural course of life that life ends. So yeah, I mean there's that as well. But also, I mean, she's a vegetarian, so she's one of the other POV characters. And the other one is the patron Ludwig, and he's like an interesting character because he was a second son who was given to the church. He was a nobleman, and the very common lot for second sons was, well, you just go ahead and go be a monk or a priest or something. And he is devout, but yes, his priest was an imposter and a vampire and turned him when he needed some money. And so, yeah, Ludwig wasn't happy about this at first, but, he later came to the conclusion that immortality is awesome. I mean, I have all the time in the world to, pursue my interests and listen to music and so on and so forth. I don't have to worry about getting old or sick. It's great. So, yeah.
So some of the tropes that are big with vampires, some authors like them, some authors ignore them. Where did you stand on some of those tropes? Like, for instance, the old one was vampires can't see the reflection because of silver, but modern mirrors don't actually have silver in them. So do you stick with it? They can't see themselves in the mirror, or do you say, well, it's not silver anymore, so they can?
I honestly, they're fairly grounded. They don't turn into bats. They don't turn into mist. They appear in mirrors. Things like that. The main things I kept were that they can't go out in the sun and they can't eat solid food. And, if they can drink other things, but it doesn't really satisfy their thirst, it has to be blood. So, yeah.
Immortality doesn't sound bad, except for if you're telling me I can never have coffee again. I don't know that I want to live in that world.
Okay. Well, yeah, actually, you can drink coffee. It just doesn't satisfy your thirst. It doesn't make you, you're still going to need blood on top of that coffee. So,
okay, so maybe a little bit of blood pudding to go with the coffee.
There you go. Well, I mean, if it's solid, you won't be able to keep it down. It needs to be blood,
I just heard about blood pudding because I was at a historic event yesterday. I don't actually know how they make it, so I'm thinking pudding like Jell-O pudding. So if you're telling me it's solid, that's news to me.
It's solid, yeah. And also, like, Ludwig actually tries blood sausage, which is like sausage casings and a little bit of meat and a whole bunch of blood. And he tried that to see if that would work. And it satisfied his thirst, but then he threw up the parts that weren't blood, like owl pellets. And he was like, well, that was gross. I don't think I want to do that again. So
now, does it have to be human blood or
no, he can use animal blood. So it's okay. Abraham actually gets a lot of his stuff from expired blood bank stock because blood is only good for a certain amount of time for transfusions, but it's still drinkable by him for that point. So he actually has a sympathetic blood bank worker. He's like, oh, I'm working on my dissertation and I need your expired blood. So yeah.
So do vampires in your world have glamours and the like that allow them to mesmerize?
Well, I mean, Thomas tells Ludwig when he's turning him that each vampire is given a special gift related to his interests in life. So, it depends. It's very individualistic. It depends on the various vampires. Now, Thomas does have glamours. He can change people's minds. He can mess with their heads pretty good. But yeah, I kind of don't want to spoil what everybody's gift is.
No, that's okay. I mean, you don't necessarily even need that because if you're alive long enough, you can perfect a system. I mean, there are whole people the whole pickup artists that teach guys how to get girls by learning a script, and they do the same thing for girls, although it's a little bit easier for them as far as like getting dates. Like there are whole like sales schools that teach people how to sell a used car. Like the idea that you can't convince somebody of something with just practice is existed forever, and so you don't necessarily need a glamour to convince somebody to do things, right? And when in doubt, money works.
Yeah.
Bribery will get you everywhere. So
and Ludwig is very good at making money. So there you go.
now, is his character in the modern world still a musician?
Abraham is still a musician. Ludwig was the patron. And so in the modern world, actually right now he's working as a lawyer, which is kind of hilarious. But because in his youth he had an interest in calligraphy, that turned into an interest in forgery. And he likes to keep in with like, he's been traditionally Abraham's source of new identities whenever he has to leave. So yeah.
Given that your other instances, you let the snark fly, do you have good lawyer jokes in there?
Oh, man. I think I missed an opportunity.
Well, there's always the sequel. So that's the other part. Normally we would ask you if this book stands alone. And you mentioned earlier that you are writing the sequel.
Yeah.
How long do you foresee this series going?
I see it being 3 books or so. Yeah.
Okay. And is it going to maintain the same 3 characters? So Ludwig, Abraham, and his wife?
Yeah, although I do have like brief sections with other characters coming in book 2. So yeah, a few more brief narrator bits. So yeah. So there's that. Yeah. Oh, I did think of one. Ludwig comments like Abraham is currently living in New Jersey, and Ludwig comments at one point, "Oh, vampires of New Jersey, a brilliant new reality television concept that I wish I could sell to someone."
Reality TV is the gift that keeps on giving. I did a world building once where I predicted that's how we got colonies on other planets, is the Real Housewives of Mars or the Real Housewives of the lunar colony, because that would be what it would take to get people interested. So this is set, the period pieces as develops the backstory of Abraham and Ludwig. And then you set it in the modern times, which is set in New Jersey, you said.
Yeah.
Is there an overarching plot that's a theme going through, or is it more a slice of life kind of story?
There is an overarching plot. Thomas is very offended by the idea of a Jewish vampire. He believes that eternal life is a gift for a reward for Christian faith, which, he's being a little literal on that. Ludwig's actually, wait, what do you mean you've given me eternal life? I already have that. I'm a Christian. But yeah, so he's very offended by that. So he's been chasing Abraham through the centuries. And Abraham has been avoiding him through the centuries, and they do finally have their big showdown at the end. So their big John Wayne showdown. So okay. John Wayne showdown that with bonus violin playing at one point.
So that's about who the main characters are. Who are the bad guys, without spoilers, that you could tell us about?
The main one I can tell you about is Thomas. He's the one who turned Ludwig. And I mean, most vampires are pretty good with money, but he did not get that gift by goodness. So yeah, he keeps Ludwig sort of around for a while because he wants to borrow money from him. And he's just kind of a charlatan and kind of mean. So there you go.
Okay. Would you want to live in this world that has vampires for real?
Yeah, sure. I would, because, I have a thing where it's like, some books, when the vampires become vampires, they become evil. And these guys, you're pretty much the same person you always were, like once you've changed. And so, if you were a decent person, you can continue to be a decent person after you're a vampire, if that's what you want to do. And if you're a crummy person, you continue to be a crummy person after you're a vampire. And there you go. So sure. I don't think they're going to come after me.
Now, in this world, like sometimes vampires, when they become immortal, they can't have kids. Is that something you stuck with that trope?
Mostly, yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's something that gets in there that we get into as well, because the mortal wife does want kids. So they do go to fertility clinics and things like that as part of it. And there's science. So yeah, apparently, like, yeah, being a vampire does not make you incredibly fertile. But if you spend enough money at the reproductive clinic, you might be able to succeed. So.
Okay, so money will buy your way to anything. All right. So is there anything about the book itself that you think we need to understand before we go to talk about the Kickstarter?
If you heard about David Carrico's book and you were like, wow, I really hope he goes into the weeds of kosher rules, then my book is for you.
Okay. I like anything that turns the tropes on its head.
Okay.
I'm drawing a blank. Brad Thor did one where he basically took the vampire trope was actually released by the Carthaginians experimenting with disease warfare, which they did back then, merging some sort of spider venom, rabies, and something from snakes, which got the combination of symptoms. And so that's how vampires were released in the world. And so I like all of that kind of stuff where you like mix in like the real world to it. So I'm totally there for it.
Okay, excellent.
I appreciate that. All right. So we showed the video about the Kickstarter and you showed us the finished product of the book, and the book looks well put together. I appreciate the way you did that. So what are you doing with the Kickstarter? What are you funding if the first book's already done?
The main thing I'm trying to fund is there is a special edition hardcover with like more art to it and a pretty ribbon bookmark and things like that, and it will be signed and numbered, and the audiobook. This is the audiobook's release. So if you're a big audiobook fan, come on down. Oh, yeah. And it's a multi-narrator audiobook, so each POV character gets their own narrator. And yeah, so it's good. I've enjoyed listening to it several times already.
So is it the dual narration POV that's big, or is it technically an ensemble cast that's more like a radio drama?
It's more of it's a 3 narrator, but it's not an ensemble cast. There's just the 3 voice actors. So it's Dave Robinson, Veronica Giguere, and J. Daniel Sawyer reading.
I know all 3 of those people. Awesome.
Cool.
Dave Robison's voice is smooth like butter.
Oh yeah.
How did you get him to say yes? I didn't know that man was still doing the work.
Dan got it for me, so yeah.
Yeah, Dan's good people. I like him.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much from him since he moved into his little mountain hideaway. His own fortress of solitude, as it were. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to have 3 narrators, 1 for each of the male characters and 1 for the female characters. Who is the main character in the story?
Abraham is the main character, and Dave Robinson is the one reading that. So
okay, that's why I was asking that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the main is funding for the main drive of the Kickstarter is funding the limited edition hardcover and funding the audiobooks. Now, with that, are there any stretch goals that you're looking for? Maybe funding the audiobooks for the follow-on novels or anything like that you're doing?
I was pretty modest in my goals. So, I mean, right now we're mainly looking at special edition hardcover upgrades and things like that. I kind of wanted to put like the head and tail bands on it and things like that. So those are the main stretch goals we're looking at. But yeah.
Okay. And so
if I get enough backers, I'll certainly consider better.
Absolutely. So given the turnaround, this book, as we're recording it on Sunday, you've got 7 days left of the Kickstarter. I'll air it tonight or tomorrow, so it'll go out Sunday or Monday for you. So you'll have 7 or 6 days left. So assuming in 7 days it gets funded, you get your hardcover and you get your audiobook production covered. When that happens, what is the turnaround for delivery on both the hardcover and the audiobook, given that the novel itself is already written?
Since the novel itself is already written, well, I said that the hardcover would probably be December, because I have all the pieces except for like the under dust jacket, case laminate design, which is new. So, but I have to have them shipped to me, and I have to sign them and mail them back out. So I was saying that's probably December. The audiobook is complete, so I could probably send that to you. So that's December for sure. And yeah, the hardcover might be pushed all the way to January. So yeah.
Now the hardcover is going to be limited edition, numbered, signed, but the audiobook will be available even if they don't. So if they listen to this next year and the Kickstarter's closed, they can still presumably buy the audiobook if it was funded. Are you going to be selling that only on Audible, or is it going to be on all of the platforms? Because your book is wide.
My book is wide. I am absolutely going to do it wide because, I don't like putting all my eggs in one basket. So yeah.
So one of the things people woke up to one day is the realization that they don't actually own their books on Amazon. They're just leasing them. And so like I've started getting for the same price a lot of my audiobooks on Audible because I like knowing I can download them to my hard drive and they're mine. I paid for them. And so that's why I was asking. So for the audiobooks, if that matters to you, you'll be able to get them on platforms where you own them. You don't lease them. So
yeah, I actually have my own shop where you can own them.
Oh, okay. So you're link to your store. And for the record, when I link to her website, dear listener, like I only link to the most common things. She linked to some platforms I've never even heard of. And so like go to her website, click on the contact, and she's got everything and stuff you didn't even know existed when it comes to social medias. And so, but yeah, so it's all there, but she does have a store attached to her website where you can buy directly. Now, are you fulfilling that, or are you using something like a book funnel?
I'm using Book Funnel to fulfill the ebooks and Book Vault to fulfill the print books. So
okay,
yeah, it's good to have an IT background or things like that.
I was the guy that when we had to pass the basic computer competency exam as freshmen at my undergrad, I failed it 5 times, and when I crashed the computer lab, they're like, "Please, JR, just don't come back.
Oh,
You passed each section at least once. Please just never darken our door again, and we'll be happy."
no.
And I'm like, you know what? I'll never be back. If you click that I pass, I'm good to go. So yeah, I'm job security for people like you.
Okay. All right.
Which makes it ironic because I write sci-fi. Okay, so it'll be available in the future on your website. The print book, ebook is already wide.
Yeah.
And the hardcover will be a one-time run. Now, are you going for the leather-bound hardcover you said, or is it going to be a standard?
It's going to be a case laminate with also like a dust jacket on top of it, and the case laminate underneath it is different. So
can you explain what that means for people that aren't?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a hardcover, but it has a design printed on the hardcover.
Okay.
Yeah. Which the current hardcover that's out now is just like that cloth thing underneath. So yeah, this is going to have like a printed design under.
So you can take the dust jacket off and still know what book it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And those books you said they're going to be numbered and signed. Are they going to be signed by just you, or are you going to get for people that backed both, are they going to be able to get the narrators to sign it too?
Oh, I don't think so, because I didn't actually clear that with them first.
Okay. I would have to pester them individually. Is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Yes, you would have to pester them individually. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So when this funds, if people find this book and they say this sounds really cool, it's kind of a different take on vampires. I like that it highlights different living arrangements. I buy this. When can I expect book 2? Obviously, life happens. You've got a day job. Generally speaking, what is your guesstimate timeline for the next novel?
My guesstimate is late 2026, early 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I am not the fastest writer out there. You will get no shade from me.
Okay.
And so, but
We're
it's
doing a
definitely.
suck 2 audit right now at work.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
you are actively working on it, and based on the length of this, you're quasi halfway there.
Yes.
So that's progress. Is there an option where someone could sign up because you do have a Patreon? Do they get early access to the novel?
Yeah, I am dropping individual scenes into the Patreon as well. And I already have the Kickstarter set up for the sequel, which is going to be like the full release for the thing. So yeah, you could also follow that as well. I did stupid HT access tricks so that it's I can give you the URL for that, but no, actually it's linked in the back of the ebook as well if you go out and
Okay. That is cool. Is there anything else? Because I want to be able to turn this over quickly, and based on the time, I might actually be able to get this out tonight. Is there anything else about this Kickstarter that you think we really need to know, other than it sounds like a lot of fun, and we have to have you back to talk more about vampires?
Sure. I mean, it's just that it's fun. It's quirky. Even when there's dark stuff, it manages to be like, light and gentle. Is what I've heard people say. And also, there are a lot of cats in it. So if you like cats.
I mean, when you say cats, is it the cats that the vampires are eating, or like cats as pets?
Pet cats.
Okay, you had me until you said pet cats. I'm a dog guy, so obviously I like werewolves. So you're not surprised, right?
Well, there is a dog in the book as well, but yes.
Oh, go on, tell me more.
Oh, it just kind of shows up on their doorstep one day after an incident. So they take in the dog, and there's also like some drama with the dog's former owners that like.
So
anyway,
one of the things that you have to address in a modern world is how do you maintain your anonymity as immortal, given that you've got electronic tracking of people's.
Oh yes.
How do you handle that? Because DNA is forever. Well, first off, do vampires still keep their DNA? Is it the same? Or will it give them away? And then 2, how do they maintain that across their lifetime? Do you address that at all, or you just sort of
I have him talk about how it used to be easier to get new identities, and he's like, yeah, but honestly, right now he's got a trust fund set up with his own accountant, and his lawyer set it up, and it's just he set it up so that people would not notice he wasn't dying, and he would still have his money in it. So he just changes the beneficiary to his new name regularly. So yeah.
One of the lady that wrote the Sparkling Vampires, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer. She gets a lot of flack because of Vampire Sparkle. It's the butt of somebody's joke. I haven't read it, so I'm not throwing shade about it. It's just a funny joke. But one of the things she did do with that one is where they alternate who the parents to the kids are back and forth as they moved, so that way they could keep things in the family because they were just passing it on to their descendants. I thought that was a good way to do it as far as handling it, the resources, because that's if you're immortal, that's the benefit. You have a lot of time to build up resources.
Oh yeah.
And interest is your friend.
Yeah 200 years of compound interest, man. Yeah.
So I like it when people start thinking about those quirks of life, because they just sort of wave your hand about it, but like I want to know how those things work, because it adds depth to a story.
And Ludwig does collect art, and he has a really good eye for it, and he ends up doing things like, oh, my sofa is suddenly worth a ridiculous amount of money, I think I'll sell that. So yeah.
So now when you say he collects art, is he buying it before the artist is big and predicting the who will be big, or is he buying low and selling high of existing art?
He's usually just buying whatever he is drawn to, but yes, he has an eye. So I think it's mostly before they are big, but also he does sometimes like splurge on something expensive that he wants for himself.
You mentioned that he was a patron of the arts, which is how he met, the other character. So it fits the character. So I was just curious if it was him predicting or, just able to get good deals.
I have joked. This is not in the book, but I have joked to my friends that he had one of his vampire powers, individual vampire powers, is detect net worth. When he sees an object, it's like, oh, that is the most expensive object in the room, or will be. I will take that. So yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else we got to know about this book or this Kickstarter before we wrap this up?
Oh boy. The audiobook is really good.
You've got great narrators, so I vouch for all three of them.
Yeah.
And I've hired Veronica to do one of my anthologies. She puts out quality work. One of her series she does for Terry Mixon, the Empire of Bones series, is amazing. So we sing her praises already. So you're not surprised, dear listener,
yeah.
been around for a while.
Yeah, Dan sent me her reading of my dedication, and she made me cry.
Aww.
I was not expecting that. So yeah.
All right. Well, then this is the part where I remind you, dear listener, to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. It really does matter. So do your part, and we would greatly appreciate it. And with that, Katherine, how might we find you on the wild, wild interwebs? And as usual, all of those will be in the show notes.
Sure. The best place to find me is probably if you go to my website. There are all of the links. I have a contact form on there, and probably the best place social media wise. I have a Facebook author page, and I have a Instagram, and yeah, those are like the ones with the most common that I post to most often. But yeah, the more personal stuff usually goes to Blue Sky or Mastodon. So
yeah, we were talking in the pre-show about that. I didn't even know what Mastodon was.
Yes, it's a federated open source social media.
So that was getting big for a while when everyone was worried about various platforms, because if I remember correctly, when Amazon bought up GoodReads, or was it Facebook that bought GoodReads?
It was Amazon.
Yeah, I know everyone started talking about like the federated stuff. I'm just too much of a computer dunce to know exactly what that meant. So, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they originally did Mastodon like during the previous Twitter. Woo! And so they're like, we need to have an alternative to Twitter. Let's make it open source software and federated. So yeah, there was that. There was at first when they started having more, the current Twitter, woo! There was some like talk about whether it was going to be Blue Sky or Mastodon. And I think Blue Sky won because Mastodon, step one is you have to pick which instance that you're going to create your account on. And for people who aren't computer nerds, they like take one look at that and say, nope. But I like it. So
it's the same reason people aren't getting into some of like the Bitcoin stuff. The barrier to entry is tech skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once you create your account, it's just like any other social media. You follow anyone you want to follow, and so on and so forth. But apparently, people don't like having to pick a server right off the bat. And it's anyway. I don't think it's that big a deal because if you don't like your server, you could just move your whole account and it's fine. But it's okay. I'm also like a nerd, so I'm a computer nerd. So maybe I'm not the one to talk.
Hey, whatever works for you. And as long as you're having fun on the internet, you can't do it wrong.
Okay.
If you want to find us, a dear listener, you can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. We've got our email, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Matt and Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee, brand coffee, tea, and hot chocolate until they speak faster than I do, people, and then we'll give them more. And we will see if we can beat the Motor Mouth Man for the Micro Machine commercial. If you want to experience that joy with us, you can go to the link in the show notes. The podcast Grunts is the discount code. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Thank you for coming on, Katherine. And we're definitely going to have to do some more vampire panels because now I want to talk about the vampire versus werewolf thing because I didn't know that wasn't always there.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
All right. And with that, dear listener, we're going to hit the end button. Wait for it. And